I'm going to explain to you today the Civil War, the real war on terror is a war against the United States. Okay? And the focus here is tech. All right, so I'm going to do this thing. Let me spell this out. And then at the end of this, I'm going to try to make this short because I think I have a couple, 5 or 6 big points that I can get across that will become like self-evident of what's going on right now. And then we'll go to this because this is where the action is. Because the Civil War is the tech. It's in the tech. There's not going to be guys in costumes. I mean, there was a little bit of that in Minneapolis, right? There's ICE agents running around. Just like there used to be bounty hunters running around the North looking for black people. So everything that happened in the 1860s is happening again. This is a really profound thing, right? Because America's, as I'm going to explain here in the next couple of minutes, America is the fiend Reich. It has completely merged. Literally, there's a congressional bill that has merged the United States and Israel. That was the goal of the war on terror. Okay? This is so fucked up. Trump doesn't even know what to do about the situation. All right. So do you remember in 5th grade when you studied the lead up to the Civil War and there was this thing called null and void? It was South Carolina wasn't going to enforce some tariff bill or something like that. Andrew Jackson, who's a Southerner, slaveholder, was almost going to go to war with South Carolina. A generation later, South Carolina was the first state to leave the Union. That's what Israel is. Israel's the state where everything's null and void. They just do whatever they want. The official, I'm making this up. I just read this again this morning. It's so outrageous. Your brain sort of hurts even to think it. The official lead rabbi for the IDF has said it's okay for the Israeli soldiers to rape Palestinian prisoners. That's the official policy of the state of Israel. That's my point. Israel is the null and void state. Nothing applies to, now that's us too, because we've merged. See where I'm going with this? This is the new Confederacy, people. South Carolina is now Israel. And even Trump is like, what the fuck are we going to do here? So we'll come back around to this. So Vance is in Switzerland trying to get the fuck out of this war. Right? Excuse me. We're losing the war as we speak. I mean, it might be over right now. I'm not sure. We keep going back and forth with this thing in Iran, but let me jump over to the tech. So here's the headline last week. Microsoft answers Goldman's $1 trillion question, considers China's DeepSeek to ditch expensive OpenAI. Microsoft is like the den mother of OpenAI. Microsoft, it sort of inherited OpenAI because it was so fucked up. Where's my book? You got to get this book, people. Okay, here's the book. You got to just go to Barnes & Noble and read the first chapter. OpenAI and Anthropic are both worth $1 trillion, right? The head of the biggest software company in the United States is like, nope, it's too expensive to work with them. It's 90 to 95% cheaper to use Chinese AI models. What I'm explaining to you is we've got to throw something else in there too, like in the mix. I know I'm all over the place, but you're going to see how all these things. So Alan Greenspan died today. He's 100 years old. That's great. So Alan Greenspan was the guy that really converted the American system to this, let the bulls run, right? Like the official the official policy of the Federal Reserve and the White House and the federal government is to make the stock market go up. Okay. Alan Greenspan was the guy. And what's the justification for the stock market going up? Tech. So Barclays said today that their Anthropic and OpenAI and all the related companies like Oracle, Meta, Facebook, and Amazon, and all the infrastructure companies, the hyperscalers, are going to have to put another $1 trillion in. That tech has already failed. If the CEO of Microsoft is saying we have to use Chinese tech. See where I'm going with this? In the same way that Vance is like, in Switzerland, we got to do something to get the fuck out of this war at all costs. We have to tell Israel to, like, they can't go back into Lebanon, blah, blah, blah. We have to somehow put Israel back in the box. We're losing, like, on all fronts. And what I'm telling you is, when you look at this isn't like investment advice. This is geopolitics, or like, history in the making. We are in an epic loss of finance, tech, and military capacity. The fucking USS Gerald Ford got turned around by the Houthis. Now, back to Alan Greenspan. So Alan Greenspan was the guy that said, and Clinton and everything since the Cold War has just been like, well, we can't really compete with China. We're just going to let China take over everything. We're going to hyperscale. We're going to hyper financialize. The Fed's job is just to get the fuck out of the way. The Fed's job is just to run something that's maybe kind of like a positive interest rate, but not really. Like right now, what are the Fed funds rates, like 3.5%? Well, the inflation rate is well over that. And they just installed a guy who's supposed to make the interest rates go lower. You just go in, Erlen? When the music's over, when the music's over, when the music's over. So the war and the tech and the Nasdaq are all the same thing. Now, what I'm trying to get across to is when the music's over, they're going to see that we've lost. If they stop the war in Switzerland, Vance comes back, and there's some agreement. It sounds like it's just back to what Obama put in place. And see, they have to suppress Iran's ability to have a nuclear weapon, because they have to have a state in the Middle East. Who's they? I don't know, whoever runs the world, Mrs. Rothschild or something. That is this, I'm calling it the null and void state. It can just do whatever it wants, and nobody can ever get revenge on it. Nobody can ever contain it. This is this crazy demonic worldview that the West is on. Like Epstein files come out. Somebody described it this weekend. It's the largest collection of criminal data. It's the largest crime file in human history. Nothing happens. You with me? It's the Fiend Reich. Like, we are fiends. We suck the blood out of children and eat them and rape them, and nothing happens. We train AI on Iran. That's what Grok did. You understand? Like, the war in Iran wasn't like Trump, like, yeah, let's blow this up. Come on, people. He's 80 years old. He's on Adderall till 4 a.m, like making up insane Truth Social and Twitter tweets. It was all on AI. The AI is the tech, is the war, is the Nasdaq. That's all the same thing. And if they end the war on terror, everybody's going to look at this thing and go, what the fuck? As long as the war goes on, the Nasdaq will keep. This has been my thesis all along. It's a weird thing. It's sort of like a weird intuition I had where I read this report one time. This sounds completely insane, but just hear me out. You can graph the stock market and Frank Sinatra's sales. What? I mean, he goes back to like the 1920s or 30s or whatever, right? So whenever Sinatra's, he's the chairman of the board, right? In Vogue, the stock market's going up. It's all psychology. When Sinatra's down and out, you have like John Denver and Led Zeppelin. You have like this real decadent thing that keeps going back and forth like this. My thesis is that the Nasdaq bull market started with a war in Iraq. Go look at it. It started in 2003. And if this war ends, they come back, and what it would do is everybody would look into the tech, the Navy, Iran, Grok, AI, and realize this is all for nothing. We've spent all this money financializing everything. The purpose of the stock market isn't to represent something in the economy. This is what Greenspan put us on. Remember he did the irrational exuberance speech? And then he just said, fuck it. Okay, 1994, if you're a broker or stockbroker or investment advisor, you know that before COVID, there was only one quarter since 1980, one quarter where the bond market went down, which means interest rates went up. It was right around the time Greenspan did the irrational exuberance speech and thought his job was to slow down the stock market. Okay, because the tech thing took off in the 90s, right? As we came out of like the end of the Cold War, the sort of, it was a pretty serious recession early 90s, right? Remember the Soviet Union was dissolved on Boxing Day 1991. So the market's taken off. He gives the exuberance speech and raises interest rates, and it plunges. If you look at mutual funds, it was the only quarter, I think it was either a quarter or 2 quarters, where bond funds lost money, like a lot of money. Like you lost like 8% of your value. So since then, there's never been a bear market in bonds until we come out of COVID. Okay. Even though the inflation is not going away, even though we just blew up the Persian Gulf, we just installed a Fed governor whose job is to make the stock market go up. And by all means necessary. If he has to run interest rates down to 1% with $100 oil, he's still going to do it. Because everything in America is this war. It's asset prices have to go up. Inflation, every empire, go listen to Ray Dalio. I'm just putting a lot of like weird Frank Sinatra sauce on this, but it's the same. Every empire ends the same way, in war and inflation. And I'm telling you, if this is the end of the war on terror, which I think it is, that they're negotiating in Switzerland right now, it's the end of the Nasdaq as we know it. You can go read this article. It is a premium article from last Wednesday. I flew to Austin. I know my glasses are funny looking. I know you can have a laugh at that, but I don't have any. I broke them. Getting to fly to, I can't even look at myself in this, to Austin to meet with our attorney. I'll talk about that in a minute. Went very, very well. He also has a master's in accounting, which is real. I said, like, dude, which was harder, the bar or the CPA tests? And he said, far and away, the CPA tests. So we sat down, we started to talk about this. And I said, as I got up this morning at 4:00 to go get on the airplane, I read this headline, like drinking a cup of coffee. And I said, you understand that if Microsoft is choosing Chinese tech, Anthropic and OpenAI are supposedly worth $1 trillion, and half of the S&P 500 is trading at 10 times revenue. 50, he was like, I'm sure because he's an attorney, he's not paying attention to these numbers. And Like, he didn't breathe for like 5 or 10 seconds because he knows from like an accounting and a legal standpoint that this is completely insane. But that's my point, people. This is the Fiend Reich. We are being run by fiends, like drug fiends, like people who just. I like the etymology of this because it's fiend is very similar to the word Feind in German, which means enemy. And a fiend sort of has the etymology of like a perpetual enemy, like a fiend that you just feed and feed and feed, and it can never be satisfied. That's what America and Israel are. And they don't have any tech. We don't have any fucking tech. The CEO of Microsoft is telling you this. It's 10 times more expensive. Then this morning, DeepSeek 2.0, China's GLM 5.2 model takes AI world by storm with stunning mix of capabilities and price. It's 95%, as let's just say fast, but its performance is 95% of any American's AI, and it's 95% cheaper. It's over, people. The Nasdaq has nothing. Hold on. So the hyperscalers, the Nasdaq is representing not revenue. The Nasdaq is creating market cap by spending. There's nothing on the other side coming this way. There's no revenue coming in to cover these trillions and trillions and trillions that have been put out. The Nasdaq is representing the spending going out. And I'm telling you, the Nasdaq represents the spending going out, which is we've been doing since 9/11 on these fucking wars. We have nothing to show for $40 trillion in debt. The US government has nothing to show for it. We abandon. Okay, let me go back into the Civil War thing. I'll wind it down with this. I did this neo-Confederacy thing just like fucking around on Twitter one day. Remember, it was during COVID, there was the riots and everything. And then one day, I've told this story many times, there was this weird thing, like there were all these like shock troops on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. And people like walked up to him and took their picture and said, "What? You don't have any insignia? Like, are you guys airborne or something?" And they just would say, "We work for the U.S. Treasury." These are like shock troops, like stormtroopers. So I used it as a meme and threw it up and on a Twitter feed. I think 10,000 people looked at it. It was like the only tweet that I ever did that ever got any attention. And I said that I called it the Neo-Confederacy with FED, like the Fed, in capital letters. The fact that these people work for the Treasury, like we don't really know who controls them, some sort of like banking syndicate or something runs these people. You know, the internet's just full with all this like the City of Isles and the City of London and like this spooky Mrs. Rothschild thing that really runs the world. Whatever. We don't need to solve that problem today. So that's where I got this neo-Confederacy idea. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, it is sort of like a neo-Confederacy kind of. Here's how. Because our democracy is nothing but the protection of property. Want me to do that again? Both parties. We have the Republican Party that has like this evangelical psychobabble attached to it. We have the Democratic Party, which your kid can run away and cross the state line and go to a hospital and have their genitals cut off. You know, we have like this Christian, non-Christian, like this goofball thing, but both parties absolutely believe in nothing. This is what's sometimes called neoliberalism, except property. And that's what brought us to 1860. Go back and watch the thing Lincoln talking about in Spielberg's movie talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, and it takes him like a couple of minutes to go through this elaborate legal thought of how he freed the slaves, which has to do with property rights. See where I'm going with this? We have recreated the antebellum South. And now we're at war with the whole fucking world, not just with we're not like in a civil war, like, blue and the gray. We're in this weird thing. Like Alex Karp says, we're at war with China, Russia, and Iran with it using AI, and we're losing. Loser. This is my point to you today. The Nasdaq one day is going to have to represent the fact that we are loser. The head of Microsoft is like, yeah, we're going to have to go to Chinese tech. And then just let me walk you through that in case you're not familiar with the recent headlines. So the reason we all use Apple products is because the software and the hardware are embedded in each other, right? That's why they never get viruses, and that's why you never get blue screens, right? So that's what they did with AI. They didn't spend all this money on these fucking LLMs. They let everybody else spend all the money. And then they knew, like super intelligent AI told us, that Google Gemini was going to win. Why? Because Google runs the internet. Google has the internet, right? So if anybody's going to make a model of the internet regurgitating itself, Google's going to win. But even with that, it's not as cheap as what China did. Why? Because China's not at war. China doesn't try to optimize everything for mass murder like we do, right? Palantir is the kill chain company. Our AI is about kill chains. The war in Iran, the war with Russia right now, we're shooting random fucking drones into apartment buildings in Moscow. You understand that, right? And everybody believes it's the right thing to do. Rachel Maddow, Richard Haass, the Hawks, just random AI-driven terrorism. That's what your Nasdaq's based on. They're training the AI to kill people and losing. Follow me? Like they used Grok in Iran, and Vance is at fucking Switzerland, like trying to negotiate his ass out of this as fast as they can. Why? This is this fiend thing. Like there's 7 million people in the Middle East at war with 7 billion. It's insane, and we all part of it. This is the banality of evil thing. Everybody, there's some Epstein thing, and I don't know, Leon Black like bit a 7-year-old's pussy and raped her. I don't know what to make of all that, but have you heard that Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Steelers? This is who America is. Now, the revolution is not going to be televised because what I'm trying to explain is the Civil War is in the tech itself. Feeling me? And we ain't the good guys. So lo and behold, we have like a new ops manager, and she's going to send this to everybody whose email is in Substack. And I'm going to go through this like this with you. Like I'm going to do the Bob Dylan thing, right? I'll probably have to wear those damn glasses. Actually, I can put it on here. So what happened at the end of the Civil War? Well, we had the free soil movement. We built the railroads. There were like two business models. There was the slavery model, which was going to turn all of Kansas and Nebraska and all of the Louisiana Purchase into a slave state. Okay? With me on this? And Lincoln was never, you can go back and you can find some things that are almost like racist. Like I don't believe that white people and black people are equal in all ways. He would always like modify it and say, that's not really what I'm doing. It was either going to be this sort of centralized oligarchy thing of the antebellum South, which is like all the wealth is controlled by like 100 people. Like very few people had large numbers of slaves in the South. Remember, we learned all that in 5th grade. everybody in the South thought that they had to support the states' rights of slavery and blah, blah, blah. That's what Palantir is. That's what OpenAI is. That's what Sam Altman is. That's what the empire of AI is. Are you following me on this? They're trying to make like a plantation with the AI, and it's going to fail. It's failing everywhere. Even this morning, even here's the other. Jump on Substack and go to the Black Swan. What's the guy's name? I just read the article like right before I did this. Yeah. I think it's called the Black Swan Report or something like that. The CEO of Microsoft, I forget his name, is saying that the future of AI is decentralized. And the reason he has to say that is because if Microsoft fucks this up, you understand how AI agents work, right? You could take an AI agent and or a bunch of them with $20,000 worth of shit from the Apple store and just turn it on and say, I want you to build every product that Microsoft makes and call it Bruno. And in about 48 hours, it would do it. So even Microsoft is seeing that if they don't make this pivot correctly, they could wipe themselves out. If they start, the borrowing for the last year has been like 600 borrowing, not like old-fashioned debt is what's behind these large language models. Barclays says they're going to need another $1 trillion. So the CEO of Microsoft is sitting there and going, oh my God, we could burn through all of our fucking cash building these large language models that still will never be fast. This is what the people told us 2 years ago, people. This is what I was like on here, like on, guys, you guys all following this thing, like the AI thing? Like fucking CJ Townbridge says like you're going to be able to put AI in your backpack. I was like, what? Okay. The Nasdaq is so under threat by AI. The math isn't mathing, and they've lost the plot, to use the nice cliches. They're looking at the spending as the revenue. And the guy that runs the biggest software company in the world is saying, oh, fuck. Which brings us to Bruno AI. So this is the most refined. Camille put this together for us. This is going to go into your inbox and email. I would ask you, I don't do this very often. I'm not even going to ask you for a subscription. I'm not going to ask you for money. Get this and send it to friends and family. Wait do you see how simple this is, how clean this is. Camille said, I'm going to take all your stuff and I'm going to put it in normal people language. So that's what this is, normal people language. But this is what I went through with the attorney. We have hired the attorney. We have engaged the attorney to do a mini IPO. The fancy term for that is a Regulation A+ offering. It allows us to raise up to $75 million. I'm going to tee up 5,000 people with $5,000. That's $25 million. It's not very much, is it? 5,000 people with $5,000. It's really not that much money for the operations that will go behind this. Now, as I've just explained, all the hardware is down at the Apple store waiting for you. 10 grand and you're in business to build this out. Not making this up, people. The hardware was already put together by our nice people up in that big circle up in Cupertino. Done deal. That's why this is so dangerous to the Oracles and the Facebooks. This is a real focus on opportunity zones, but this is sort of a waterfall, like the champagne glass thing that goes into the next champagne, of about $17 billion into all the area codes and all the opportunity zones. It's not a big number. It's 18 billion. Would put $50 million into every area code. It's not a giant number. San Diego's like 2 area codes. Imagine you just show up here And when I talk like this, I know you guys have listened to this for 5 years. When I talk like this on here, people are like, well, what do you mean $50 million into like your area code? And I'm like, well, you understand the real problem of the Nasdaq isn't just that it might go down. This is how I'm putting this all together for you. The real problem with the Nasdaq is we're misallocating our fucking capital. And this is why China is beating us by 95%. Not 9, not 9.5, not 19, 95%. Because the objective isn't to actually have something that's better than DeepSeek. It's to make the fucking Nasdaq go up. On the day that the greatest central banker of all time passes away. Remember? Remember on CNBC the day that he retired? I remember this. I was a stockbroker. They had like somebody in all day, like doing his oil portrait. Like he's Julius fucking Caesar or something. The guy's just supposed to like maintain like some interest rates and shit to make sure the dollar is relatively stable. They made him into this quasi-religious figure. That's when America went off the rails. It just said, fuck it. Everything's going to be built and created in China, and we're going to make up financial bullshit here. And now I have to get on here for 5 years and go, why don't you put money back into like your like where you live? And people are like, I don't think you can do that, can you? Where are our kids going to live? Well, the World Economic Forum talks, I don't know, they're like, you're going to have nothing and like it or something. Like, we're like fiends. We've been turned into fiends. We can't even do like basic stuff like just go build a no. There's no money for that. No, we have to make the Nasdaq go up. And I'm telling you, we have nothing like going back into the real infrastructure. Just real quick, remember the thing with NVIDIA, right? Trump said, you're unbelievable. China's ripping us off. We're not going to sell them our ships. China said, okay, that's fine. You keep your NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA chips are obsolete, people. $5 trillion company just a couple weeks ago. Okay, I'm done. 335 area codes, 8764 opportunity zones. This was created by Manus, and it estimates 335,000 jobs would be created. $18 billion. Now, remember what Mitch McConnell, there was no money for that. There's no money from Washington, D.C. There's no money from BlackRock. There's no money for anything real in America because it's all insane and it has to feed the fiend Reich. So they made these opportunity zones for tech billionaires to put money to work without paying capital gains. Go look it up. It's on Wikipedia. Like literally, it's to defer capital gains for billionaires. But understand from like a stockbroker, if you can say like you can invest in this thing or you can invest in this thing, not pay capital gains taxes. It's fucking. It's like the argument for a 401k or an IRA, and it's 16% of the United States. $100 billion has been invested in opportunity zones. By the way, I'm not like, this isn't like some sort of infatuation with opportunity zones. It's just that the numbers are very, very compelling. There's lots of good places to invest money outside of opportunity zones too. But for this argument, we're going to do opportunity zones. $100 billion has been invested. Pretty good number. It's only gone into 5% of the opportunity zones. Why? Because private equity and Wall Street doesn't want to do the underwriting for down against the Tijuana or Forest County in Pennsylvania. This is the problem of large numbers, right? The larger and larger the numbers get, you just have to keep chasing larger numbers. Now, again, we have the Nasdaq at 51% of it is at 10 times revenue. The four pillars, the four things we're putting together, you've heard me talk about them for 4.5 years. Chain Opera, Altruist, Aragon, and Reggae Plus offerings, also known as the lawyer in Austin, whose name is Ryan Valenza of Winstead. They've been engaged. I delivered the check. We had a nice For subscribers for $9.95, you can sit and watch that video of me talk to the attorney. It's all the big issues of legal, this, underwriting, how it all works. You can just sit there and watch it for 45 minutes. We're going to put it up for subscribers only. It really should only go to members. We're going to continue to do the partners for 10 grand. If you're accredited, if you're not accredited, we're going to really twist your arm a little bit and say, you have to be part of the operations. You have to help make a master agent, which I'll explain here. Speak of the devil, the master agent architecture. You're hearing that these AI models use multiple agents, like this thing's going to specialize in this and this and this and this. Altruists are our nice friends up in Los Angeles in Culver City who built now the third largest custodian, has 6,000 financial advisors are on it. The hard part of this operation is actually, when you're working with other people's money, is onboarding them. Where's the money coming from? Anti-money laundering. That's all going to be done by Altruist, right beside the exact same software that manages their IRA. That's the legal mumbo jumbo to do a mini IPO. The 16 billion goes down to the area codes at 50 million each, with a targeted for about 5 million for each opportunity zone. So this is what we plugged into the AI and said, start to do underwriting to push. I think down the bottom of San Diego, right against the Mexican border, it's called National City. It's an opportunity zone. You wouldn't think there's opportunity zones in San Diego, but there actually are. And so what we're doing is we're telling the AI, go put $5 million to work in National City or Forest County in Pennsylvania, or whatever it is. So the AI likes those little small puzzles, like a chess board. So it just goes down in a National City and it looks at everything with the pricing. We're mainly focused on real estate, but it doesn't have to be real estate, right? It might come up with and say, yeah, why don't we go buy timberland in Forest County, it's literally forested, and make, I don't know, rocking chairs or something. That's the kind of thing that AI can do. If you're not doing it already, you should be just playing with it. Because that's what AI is for, people. It's not going to be the company you work for is going to install AI and fire everybody. That is now fake news. I think there's actually a statistic now that 55% of the companies who've laid off people with the excuse of deploying AI regret it and are going to go find those employees. There's 243 new designations. The Trump administration, with one big beautiful bill, amplified these opportunity zones. You have to see what they're really doing here, people. You have to see that they're orchestrating this for you. Okay? They're actually, I don't really think that Congress does it. I think Congress is just like a debate society, and then there's some spooky people that put everything together and hand it to Nancy Pelosi, and then they vote on it before 11 o'clock, and if you don't vote on it, they come down and AIPAC unloads money on you, and they get the fuck out of there. So somebody who runs the world wants these things to happen. In the rural areas, they're putting a 30% step up. So when you buy, let's say, put $1 million to work, it's going on the books as 1.3 million. So even though you're not going to pay capital gains for 10 years, you have a 30% margin from day one. $18 billion, $16 billion, people. The underwriting engine. What a great word. That's what this is. That's what we're using the AI for. At the end of this, I'm going to do the 3. Camille was putting this together, and at 11 o'clock at night, asked me 3 questions, and I sent her 3 videos. I'll finish with the 3 videos. Chain Opera comes from federated machine learning. That was the name of it. They called it federated ML. Okay, so who cares? So when the agent is working on National City, it's also training the agent that's going to work in downtown Los Angeles. It's federated. You follow me? In other words, we're building a massive network of, like, Anthropic just announced an internship program, people, just like you've heard on here for the last many years. The platform user experience. The platform delivers a seamless, intuitive investor journey from onboarding to real-time reporting, primarily using Altruist technology, which we're going to white label. In other words, we're literally just going to send the Bruno logo to Altruist, and they'll turn on the app that all this will be built into. All the compliance, all the legal will be built into it. Back to the national economic impact. All right, so here are the 3 videos, and you can go watch them, or I can send you links for them, or both. They're easy to find. So there's another document that stands behind this. It's more about, like, the operations of, like, the networking of the tech. And in thinking that through, Camille texted me and she said, well, is the AI going to train the agents? Is the AI going to train the interns? These are, like, basically volunteer people to start, which would have some level of compensation as they move through the system. Or is it the other way around? So I sent her, it's the best thing you're ever going to see about the internet, about social media and AI and everything, is David Bowie in 1997 saying the internet is going to be this insimpatico, it's his words, not mine, of users and content creators. In 1997, he'd said this. He sounds like Gary Vee. Do you know who Gary Vee is? Like the big social media promoter? That was 10 years ago. David Bowie understands what we're doing better than, like, he's like Tim Cook because he's David fucking Bowie. He's dead now, but he's greatest rock star of all time. In making these memes and how you interact with people. I mean, that was his thing, right? The second video was, oh, the second video, she asked me something else. So instead of answering her, I just sent her the clip of Mickey Mouse and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And the problem with this kind of AI is the Sorcerer's Apprentice problem. You sell your business or your life away to Google Gemini or OpenAI, and now the AI is starting to control you. Like, you're not controlling it. You're not training the AI anymore. The AI is training you. And this is another reason why these mega systems, Anthropic, had to be completely turned off 2 Fridays ago. It's in my content. Go look it up. OpenAI is just a clusterfuck. OpenAI has nothing. This is why Microsoft is abandoning it. Microsoft was basically, it's like, I don't know, custodian. And it's such a cluster. OpenAI, $1 trillion OpenAI, loser AI, is such a clusterfuck that Microsoft publicly is like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to use that. Okay. So that was the Sorcerer's Apprentice problem. If you don't remember, he puts on the wizard's hat and he teaches the broom to carry the water buckets, and then he chops up the broom. The broom turns into a zillion agents of more and more water and floods the whole system and blah, blah, blah. It's actually a good way to understand the dangers of AI. That's what happened to Anthropic 2 Fridays ago. They had the Mickey Mouse problem. The third video, this is probably the most profound one. And this is a good way to wind this whole wacko thing that I'm Civil War and AI and Grok. I know it all sounds crazy. But the third video that I sent her was the scene from Beautiful Mind when the blonde walks in with the 5 or 6 brunettes who are a little not quite as engaging and don't stand out. And this is what's called the Nash equilibrium. So all Nash's friends are hanging out drinking beer, and they're like, look at the blonde who just walked in. And he sits there and he has like this, beautiful mind moment where he goes, yeah, if we all go after the blonde, no one's going to get laid. And then he starts to just ramble about Adam Smith. And basically, in that scene is the whole reason I've been talking to you for the last 40 minutes or so. Everybody's trying to get the blonde. China's not trying to get the blonde. Follow me? China is like post-communist thinking. They are sort of communist. That's the other thing that's weird about Microsoft saying we're going to have to use shit from communist China. Well, this is why. Because they didn't optimize to take over the world. They optimized for everybody to get laid. More people get to have more fun, not just everybody's going to chase the blonde or the golden ring or whatever you want to call it and conquer Alex Karp's going to fucking take on Iran and Russia and China. These are crazy, fiend, wacko people running the United States and Israel. Fiends, they give speeches on the Antichrist. We have people like in Washington, D.C., who have the documents of Wexner and Leon Black, I won't go through it again, of eating children, bleeding them, like these fucking bizarre. Nobody does anything. Nobody does anything. We are that far off the rails, however you want to look at it. Tech, money, Nasdaq, Alan Greenspan, it's all the same thing. They're fiends. This is the alternative. This gets back to like we all work together. Why don't we all get laid tonight? Why don't we all go after? And then one of the guys says, Nash, is this your plan to get the blonde while we go after the brunettes? Which is sort of funny too. And yeah. I don't know if you've done the math here with your mind, but like we're raising like $500,000 like as partners to execute on raising probably $25 to $50 million for a mini IPO. And then this turns into like many IPOs. I think it's in this document, the AI, I don't know if I've ever seen this word anywhere else. It referred to AI not as hyper scalers, but as hyper local. AI is going local, people. Microsoft announcing it's even considering going to DeepSeek shows you that American tech is on the wrong path. It's all waiting for you right there. It's going to be in an email. You can get started on this tomorrow. Solid. What are we going to do when we realize the Nasdaq is fucked? Trump's fucked. The wars are fucked. The Nasdaq's fucked. There's a kind of civil war going on, people. It's in the technology. And you have to decide which side of that you want to be on. Whether it's a moral way or a financial way or political, however you want to look at it, metaphysical. You have to decide which side of this you want to be on. Have a nice week.